Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. I've been incarcerated since I was a juvenile. December 26, 1994 is when I first entered the juvenile system. In 95, I got out for 3 months, and one of the homies caught a murder case. They came raiding my house, looking for him, attempting to question me, and then when they came to search my house, they found a sawed-off shotgun. I got sent to the feds in 96. I got indicted by the feds in February 96, and came home about May of 98. From May of 98 to December 15th of 1998, I ended up catching a bank robbery case. And while I was waiting for to get sentenced on the bank robbery case, I ended up getting an assault on a federal officer. That's what they indicted me on. The guy wasn't a federal officer. The guy was a freaking county worker, county guard. But the feds said because they were contracting with the county to house me, that Officer Garner, was acting as an agent of the federal government. So therefore, they charged me for assault on a federal officer and gave me 96 months. But I pled guilty to 14 months. But I ended up with 96 months. So a total sentence of 26 years. So from December 15th, I was in the I was locked up, sent to the USP. I've taken you guys through the course of all the different prisons I've been to until I got released August 10th, 2022. The whole time I've been in prison, there's times when I call home and I hear about, one of the homies getting shot. Or I hear about a friend of mine being killed. Or a friend of mine's family members, his parents, people. A lot of people's died in the last 2+ decades that I've been in prison. But I wasn't out here. So when I hear the news, I'm really removed from it because I still have the world that I live in, which is the United States Penitentiary. I live in that world and I deal with the chaos and the drama and all the everything else that goes in with that. So I never really had the time, the energy, the emotional energy, or even emotional capacity to even think about the things that is going on with these people out here. And through the course of my 2 decades, I've met a lot of people that I care about that's been killed inside the penitentiary. On Monday, September 4th, around 2 o'clock, I got a text from my friend that informed me that one of my good friends, Paul Alma, had passed away. I mentioned him before in some of my video. They call him Cubbnut. He's from Parkvillage, Compton, Crip. I first met him in the county jail in 1999. And we became friends and we kept in touch throughout this entire time we were incarcerated. He's been home a few times and recaught some cases. But finally, after 24 years, We were able to be out in the world together, but it was short-lived. You know, this guy, he spent his whole life in prison. You know, he first started getting locked up about 13, 14 years old. And he just came home maybe 7, 8 months ago. And when he came home, he found out he had stage 4 cancer, colon cancer. And you know, he deteriorated really fast. You know, when I first met him, like, I thought he was like 6'2", yoked up. He was an opposing figure, you know. But when I last saw him, he was shrunk. And he's not 6'2". That was just his personality. His personality was bigger than reality because he was only like 5'11", you know. But he was yoked up, so, and just his personality made him bigger than life. When he came home this time, when I ran into him, we had a couple conversations, and you know, he got to the point where he finally evolved, or finally decided to make a change with his life. And he had some ideas about trying to reach out to the youth. And really, like, all of us that's done the time that we've done, we know the misery behind it. We know the heartache behind it. And we don't want to see anybody going through that. I don't want to see my worst enemy having to be put in a cell. You know, I'd rather deal with them in the streets and however we deal with them than ever get them locked up. And because at the end of the day, it's just a waste of life. But you know, he spent all his time in prison, and then when he got to the point in life where he wanted to change his life, he gets diagnosed with colon cancer, stage 4, irreversible. You know, I saw him. He was on an oxygen tank. He had what did they put you through? Chemo. But he had, you know, it was instilled in him. It was, you know, hooked up to his stomach to inject the chemo into him. But the doctors, you know, already told him that, you know, you got months. And I've been to visit him a few times to see him, to talk to him. And every time I saw him, he was in worse and worse condition. And the last time I saw him was about a month and a half ago before I got locked up. And at that time, he told me that his situation was only weeks, like he only had weeks, like literally weeks. My dumb ass got myself locked up for the last 30 days. But on Saturday, I tried to go visit him. When I went to his place, they had a door on a sign that says, Paul is resting. He's not receiving any visitors. I could have banged on the door, insist that I see him, but I respected that. I knew, his situation was touch and go, that it was going to be at any time, but the man is sick, and I didn't want to invade his space. So I just texted him, hey, I'm outside your door. Just wanted to come here and check on you and see how you are. And went about my business. Sunday, Monday, 2 days later, I get a text at 2 o'clock in the afternoon that said he passed away. You know, his wife, his girl, Ati, sorry if I mispronounced your name. You know, his girl texted me around 5:30, 6 o'clock, saying that his body was still at the house if I wanted to come over. And you know, I was having dinner with my parents last night, and I dropped everything, went to his spot. And I've seen a lot of violence in my life. I've seen, you know, my fair share of dead bodies. There's been a lot of death in my history. But, you know, some of them I was too young to comprehend what was going on. The others, I was removed from it. And I've been to a funeral here since I've been home with the homie Fahilo from Glendale. But he had already passed on. You know, when they sent me the invitation for his funeral, I didn't get to see him deteriorate. And me and Fahilo, you know, we became friends in the county jail, but we didn't have the same relationship that I have with Paul. So walking into the house, seeing him in his bed, seeing the condition that he was in, you know, it broke my heart. It broke my heart, and man, it's like, you know, I always tell people, like, whether you agree with somebody, how the choices they made, the lifestyle they live, you know, according to our lifestyle, we out here gangbanging, we out here thinking ourselves gangsters. Like, in that aspect of life, he stuck to the rules. He stuck to the code. You know, and during his time through the feds, he became a legend in his own right. You know, wherever he went, he enforced the rule of law. Yeah, I'm sure there's people that don't like him and stuff that have been victimized by him and all the rest. But he was a person that, if he was your friend, homie, you whatever you needed, you can call him 3 o'clock in the morning. He's gonna drop everything and show up, regardless of the consequences. And those kind of people I appreciate. Those are the people that I gravitate to. People that are loyal. People that's gonna ride with you, whether you're right or wrong. But at the same time, they're gonna correct you when they know you fucking up and putting their life in jeopardy. You know, so today, I just want to pay homage to him and just share you some of this experience, some of the things that we went through the course of the time, us getting to know each other. You know, like I said, he's been incarcerated since he was a kid. When he was 16, he was in a detention center. And him and a couple of other Polynesians had this bright idea they were going to escape from the detention center. So they proceeded, you know, their plan was to beat up the guards and take the keys and use the keys to get out of the facility. Well, they beat up the guard. I mean, at 16, he was already big, you know, and he was already a nut. Him and these two polys beat the brakes out of these other couple guards, took their keys, they got out of their section, but that was it. You know, the keys that they had from the CO that they beat up didn't fit any other doors. So at 16 years old, he got sent to the penitentiary out here in the state. You know, we've known of each other through the course of our lives out here in the streets, but we've always been locked up. So we never got a chance to kick it out in the streets. So when I caught my case in 98, he ended up coming back. He ended up getting out of the state joint and then catching a Fed case, a gun case. And we was in the pod together. You know, and through the course of our time, we got to know each other. And I shared with you on the incident where I had gotten to with the guards. So they took me to Supermax. Now, when we opened up ADC, they didn't know how to deal with us. You know, I started out in minimum because they didn't know how to classify me because the stuff I was doing, I wasn't getting caught up for, so I wasn't getting written up. You know, they classify you by, you know, all your incidents that you're getting written up for. I never got any incidents written up on me because, you know, in Old Metro, it's just a 14, 16-man tank. So whatever you do in there, there's no cameras, there's no people, and the people that we dealt with, you know, we punished them to the point where they can't remember what was going on, so they could never identify us as far as getting us locked up in the shoe and all that stuff. So when they closed down Old Metro, they opened up the ADC. And we all went, and ADC is different, it's a pod. It's like these new jails, you know, with your 32 cells, a unit, you know, a CO in the block, cameras everywhere. But, you know, us being young and having the mentality that we had, we were rowdy. I've never sat in a unit with anybody that I didn't get along with on the streets. You know, at the time, we was gang banging against his other gang called OLG, Original Laos Gangsters. And, you know, when I first went in there, everybody was like, oh man, you know, we're all Asian and stuff. When we come in here, we should get along and leave that stuff on the streets. But my mentality was, how am I gonna be out here trying to kill you on the streets, but then come to jail and be cool with you? You know, on the street, you can run around and duck and hide from me. In the jail, there's nowhere for you to go. So I'm over here trying to smoke you out here on the street, but now I got you in a place where you can't get away. What the fuck I look like kicking it with you? So every time I ran into one of them, I broke them off. You know, outside the one incident where I told you that I met the dude I got into with at Loud New Year. His name is OT. But you know, me and him, we fought or whatever. None of us got hurt over that incident. You know, I had a broken finger, I had a soft cast on. But like, you know, I'm not sharing this story to bring up old feelings or anything like that. Because like we moved on from that. I met all these dudes now that I've been home, you know, at Cambodian New Year and that Lao New Year, and I don't have any beef with them. You know, whatever. I mean, if somebody's got an issue with me, I'm not ducking nothing. I'm with it all the time. But I'm at a point in my life where it's like we wasted our whole lives going to prison trying to hurt each other, only to end up being in the penitentiary, having to force to ride with each other, and then getting to know each other, then respecting each other, and even caring about each other, and then coming home and being cool. You know, a lot of people was worried when I was coming home because the guys out here in the state, they live together in the block. But while I was locked up with the feds, every time I ran into one of them, you know, I did what I held that grudge for a long time. So they were worried that I was going to still carry that stuff out here into the streets. But you know, when I was locked up, I didn't think I was coming back home. So I just pressed on the gas. Like, if I'm gonna die in here, then I'm gonna die, you know, representing my hood. I'm gonna die representing me doing what the fuck I want to do. When I got closer to seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, I started trying to figure, you know, I started thinking about what the hell I'm gonna do with my life. And, you know, life in the penitentiary, life being locked up is not the one I want. I just want to live out here with my wife and my doggies and be able to get to know my nieces and nephew and see my friends progress and watch their kids graduate and get married. You know, and C-Nut was at that point in his life when he came home this time. But then he was snatched away. You know, he got stage 4 cancer. So that means that before he had stage 4 cancer, there was stage 1. There was stage 2. And there was stage 3. But we all know the penitentiary is not a place that you're going to get adequate medical help. The system's got you locked up. You file a complaint about your health and your condition, and they're like, yeah. You know, for anybody that thinks any different, let me tell you, the medical facilities, the medical staff in the penitentiary don't give a shit about you. They're not going to address your issue until you're on the verge of death. And by the time they address the issue, it's too late. Because for them to give you an MRI, for them to give you a blood test and all the rest, they have to get permission from the higher up, from region, because all these things cost the Fed money. And they're not trying to spend any money on you. You know, there was an incident in Atwater, a dude named Bishop. He had a bunch of time, right? But his cellie, Rourke from DMI, stomped him out and brain dead him. So now the warden in Atwater filed a motion to release him to his family because they didn't want to pay the medical bills. They didn't want to keep him on life support. This is the kind of medical attention that we get in the penitentiary. Now going back to Cubbnut, you know, we bonded. You know, when you build a relationship with someone in the prison, in lockup, it's more intimate than the relationships that you have out here with people out here in the streets. Because the relationship you have out here with people in the street, you might only see them here and there, and when you see them, they're on their best behavior. You know? Not that they're faking or anything like that, but you don't see the demons. You don't see them at their low point, because that's something that they're going through privately at home. When in penitentiary, there's no privacy. You're there together 24/7. So you're going to get to know the real motherfucker, what he's about. If he's a buster, he can only pretend so long. And if he's a real dude, you're going to recognize it. You know, one of these, like, me and him became co-defendants in the county jail when I ended up knocking out that guard, Gardner, and taking the keys and opening up the cell for him so we can go down the hallway to get another dude. On that case, the prosecutor offered me a deal to 14 months, and they would drop the indictment on Paul. Well, I took the deal. They dropped the indictment on Paul, but when I went to go get sentenced, they said I was a career offender and enhanced me in my guideline and reneged on my 14-month deal ended up giving me 96 months. But after that incident, me and Paul, we was putting super max, where the last year I was in ADC, I couldn't come out of my cell unless there was 2 officers in a unit and I was shackled and belly chained and handcuffed. You know, so anytime I'm out of the cell, I have to be shackled, belly chained, and handcuffed. The only place that I wasn't shackled and belly chained was when I was in my cell or when they locked me in the shower. We get our hour out, but we're shuffling around with in our shackles and belly chain. So for entertainment, we used to break our sprinklers and make the SWAT team come and get us. Like, again, I emphasize we were young and we didn't give a fuck. In our Supermax unit, we'd end up trying to get other people to participate, and we end up getting about 9-10 people in the block to participate. There'd be 4 or 5 cells upstairs, the rest of us downstairs. You know, we get a garbage bag from the orderly, pack up all of our legal work, tie it up, put our blankets and stuff in there so it don't get wet. Because, you know, when the sprinklers come out, it's all black and gooey with the oil and stuff. And once everybody got all their property put up in the garbage bag and ready, I tie a string to the sprinkler. I tie a string to the sprinkler, and we have a countdown. You know, we made an event of it. We were like 10, 9, 8, 3, 2, 1, and all of us would pop our sprinkler, and we would flood the whole unit. And that stuff goes on. They don't have a valve that it can just go and shut off the water. That shit goes until there's no more water, you know, coming out. And we're in there, and the shit is oily. The shit is nasty. And we're sitting there, and this shit goes on for like 5 minutes, just flooding. But before we break the sprinklers, we rip piece of papers up, rip paper up in little tiny bits and pieces. So once the water starts flooding in our cell and starts pushing out, it'll clog the drain and flood the whole unit. You know, the first time we did it, you know, they brought in some trustees, some orderlies that are doing time in the county jail to come and clean the place up. And one of the dudes that was cleaning the unit up, I knocked on my window and asked him to come to my door. And I was telling him, hey man, get the fuck out of here. This ain't for you. This is for the guards to clean up. Oh man, I'm just doing my job. I said, hey homie, I'm letting you know, because we beefing with the COs, because the way they carry us, they got us fucked up. They got us locked down. And you got these dude boys that come in. I'm talking about COs that just don't want to do their job, but want to be extra about shit. We already locked down, shackled. We can't come out of our cells unless we're shackled and belly chained, and they still want to fuck with us. You know, but they know who to fuck with. They'll go into a cell, you know, somebody that they're arguing with, and they're quick to pop the tray slot and mace the dude. Dude's in a cell. He can't do nothing to you. He can't do nothing. He has an issue, and he's trying to address it with you. And yeah, you're arguing back and forth, and he's cussing at you. But, you know, because you're the guard, you feel like you can just fuck with a motherfucker, and they pop their tray slot and spray the dude down. And they were just carrying motherfuckers like that. So we was like, nah, we ain't letting you get away with that shit. But we know we can't do nothing when we come out of our cell, because they're not going to let us out of our cell unless we're belly chained and shackled. So the only way to get at the police where we're not restrained is to force them to pop our cell and come with the riot team. So anyway, the orderly would come in my cell, oh, I'm just doing my job, I'm just doing my job. I said, all right, I got something for you, bitch ass. So I tell him, hey, give me some cleaning supplies so I can clean my cell up. But, I say, back then they used to give you milk cartons. They don't do that no more. This last time I went, you don't get no milk carton no more. So they used to give us milk carton, and I'll save a couple of them to drink water with, when I'm working out. So when the orderly refused to leave the unit, I said, all right. So I went over there, pissed in my milk carton, Then I knock on my window. I say, hey, orderly, I need the spray bottle. I need the cleaning supply. And they'd come over there, pop my tray slot, and get face full of piss. And yeah, that's fucked up. Like, they're inmates. I don't know nothing about these dudes, but I already asked them not to come in here. We already asked them that this ain't for you. We're doing this because we beefing with the COs and trying to make them clean this shit up. But you want to come over here and be a little do-boy and sweep and mop shit up for the CO. So after I've warned you, after I asked you not to come in here, and you still do, then I ain't got no respect for you. Fuck you. So the orderlies that would come do that, I mean, I threw piss on them, but there was other homies that threw shit on them, right? So, but when they leave, the SORT team, during this time, they're trying to squeeze you the unit and clean it all up. And the COs are getting dressed up in their turtle shoes, in their turtle gear. And they're going cell to cell, popping the cell, macing us, and then coming in and beating our ass, right? So when they come to me, I put my mattress in front and to block the tray slot so they can't freaking spray me. So they can't spray me. I mean, they still spray me, but like some of it's gonna go back outside the door. And then I have my door tied up. I have my shampoo. I squeeze, all my bottles, shampoo, lotion. I squeeze all that shit on the floor to make it so it's slippery for them. Then I rip up my sheet. You got the bunk, you got your stool, your tables, and I tie the door up, wrap it around the bunk, wrap it around the stool, just to make it where they're not just popping the door zzz, and running in. Now when they pop the door, there's gonna be some resistance, and they gotta, struggle and fight the door. So it gives me a chance to, I mean, I never won nothing. There's nothing. I'm a $120, I'm a $150. I'm 5'6", 150 pounds. I don't got that much weight behind me. So when they pop the door, I'm trying to run at them and hit them when they come in with the shield. But they got 6 rows of grown-ass fucking dudes, and the SORT team, they're picking out like the biggest guards that, that likes to deal with this shit. They got their helmets on, they got their pads on, their football pads on, and they got a shield. So when they pop the door, and I'm trying to run and hit them so I can get outside the door, it never worked out. They just, pin me back into the back wall and proceed to beat my ass and talk about, don't resist, don't resist. They take us out, they handcuff us on the rail. They go through every cell and do it. And we're all freaking lined up on top of the rail, right? And we're up there for however many hours. 2 or 3 hours. They come in, strip all of our clothes out, leave us in our underwear, our wet underwear, and fucking drag us back and throw us back in, and take all of our property, our blanket, our paperwork, throw us back in our property, and leave us in the cell for freaking, for 7 days. 7 days, we be sitting in the cell with nothing but our underwear. No toilet paper, no shower shoes, no blankets, no sheets, no shirt, no pants. Just in your dun-da-duns. And we would suffer for the next 7 days, And after the 7 days, they'll start giving us, a sheet here, a blanket here, and eventually after a couple weeks, we got all of our property and stuff back. And it's cool. I mean, we know that we can't win, but it was the only way that we could buck with these dudes. And so we rest up. We let ourselves, get a few weeks for our body to heal, for our bruises to go away. And then about a month later, you know, we're like, shit, you guys ready to go again? And we go again. You know, we might have picked up some new recruits, or somebody that participated with us in the first time might have been like, nah, I'm cool. But we always had about 8-9 people in the block to ride. And we go through the same shit again. Boom. They come in, beat our ass, strip us out, throw us back in the cell. But at this time in our unit, we had a couple dudes that were real good with the law. And they had sued the jail about stripping us, about taking our property and stripping us out, you know, almost butt naked in our dun-dun-duns, you know, trying to humiliate us and torture us, you know, to get their get back. And one of the guys that filed the suit on them was my friend Charles Freeman. You know, he wrote a motion and whatever because we're federal inmates. And we wrote it to the judge, and the judge came back and told the county jail that they couldn't take our property, that they couldn't strip us out and throw us back in the cell in our underwear. So when that came back, it was like a green light for us. We're like, fuck it, it's on now. All we gotta do is get a garbage bag throughout the course of the week to make sure that we can, you know, bundle our stuff up so it don't get wet. And we was going hard. You know, if not every month, we weren't doing it every week, because you need at least 3-4 weeks to heal up after each incident. But, you know, after the 4th time we did it, you know, they didn't take our property, but they still came in and got us. They ended up freaking breaking this Mexican dude. I forgot his name, but he's from Cuba, from you know, one of the gangs out here, out in Salt Lake. Mexican dude. And you know, part of the reason we was bucking because they had this CO named Coleman. Bitch ass motherfucker. I just heard when I was in the county jail right now that he ended up catching a felony. But his MO was he liked to body slam dudes that were shackled and belly chained. You know, if you talk shit to him or whatever, he'll grab you and just dump you on your face. You know? So, but we know we in the cell when we see it. We're like, you bitch motherfucker, when we get your hands on you, you first. You know? But we never could come out of the cell. And you know, I had a prior incident with that dude, that bitch ass fool Coleman. They tried to, when I was in regular max, they were letting me out for my hour. You know, this is the beginning of all the shit right here that led up to me beating up Gardner. I tried to come out of my cell for my hour rec, but Gardner tell me, oh, you can't come out until you make your bed. You know, I look at my mattress, you know, I'm on the top bunk, like, make my bed. I said, I don't gotta fucking make my bed. I'm in this fucking cell 24 hours a day. I only get rec 3 times a week, an hour at a time. And my recreation is protected by the Geneva Convention. The Geneva Convention is what, you know, these countries came together in Geneva to put down a guideline for how to conduct war, how to treat the POW, prisoners of war. And they say, hey, you gotta feed these guys 3 meals a day. You gotta give them at least an hour rec 3 times a week. That's the minimum I got coming. I don't got nothing else. I don't get no phone. I don't get no visits. I don't get no commissary. But according to the Geneva Convention, I get 3 meals a day and a rec 3 times a week for an hour at a time. Don't matter what the fuck I do. That's what I got coming. Not because I said it, but because your law said it. So when the dude was trying to tell me I can't get my rec till I make my bed, I'm like, nah, homie. I got this coming already. And I'm standing in front of my door, and Gardner comes and he tried to push me back into my cell. And I said, hey, don't touch me. You know, because by this time, I've already built up a reputation of I got a lot of assaults in the jail already. I've done already beat up a few people already, so I don't got no problem putting my hands on these people. And they try to put me in the cell. I say, hey man, don't put your fucking hands on me. As a matter of fact, call the sergeant. So they got on the phone, they called the sergeant. And when the sergeant come, but it's Gardner and Coleman. Coleman is a black dude. He's about 6'3". Gardner, he's like maybe 5'9", 5'10", maybe a little, maybe shorter, I don't know. But Coleman is the dude that has the prior of picking up dudes and dumping them on their face when they're shackled and belly chains. So when the sergeant comes, I walk around him to go talk to the sergeant. But as I'm walking around him to go talk to the sergeant, I already know he's gonna do this because that's his MO. He's a little bitch ass coward. He's not gonna do nothing while I'm standing in his face. But when my back is turned, he's gonna try something and I know it. So when I walk around to go holler at the sergeant, this bitch motherfucker come behind me and try to wrap his arm around me so he can pick me up and dump me because he's bigger than me. I'm 5'6", he's like 6'3". So as soon as I feel his arm wrap around me, I hook his elbow and pivot my hip and threw him over my shoulder. Bam, I threw him over my shoulder, and he's on the ground on his knees, his face looking up at me, and my thought is I'm gonna boot him right in the face. And I went to go kick him in the face, but all the other CEOs jumped on my leg and they ended up wrestling me and, beating me up, hog tying me and all that. And then they took me to the other block where they stripped me down, put me in a cell for 7 days with nothing but my dun-da-duns. And on the 7th day, Gardner showed up to work. And he was like, hey, you get your hour out today. But it's like, hold on, let me go call the tower to see if you're two officers full restraints. But at this time, I haven't had my sanction yet. I haven't got my write-up yet. So he's like, nah, you get your hour. And he just popped my door for the hour where I didn't have to have no shackles or belly chain. But the time that I was in there, C-Nut was downstairs with a few other homies that on the second tier, and they've been going back and forth with this dude, with this black dude. They gang banging through the door. So when I come out, C-Nut knocks on the window, is like, hey. I said, what's up? Hey, cuz, get the keys. I'm like, how am I supposed to do that? You know what I mean? He's like, man, grab the keys so we can go down here and fuck this dude up. And I'm looking at him like, man, you tripping, homie. I get a blanket today. I'm gonna go take me a shower and get me a blanket today. I'm cool. Man, you on some bullshit, right? So I went and got my shower. I'm gonna get my blanket, but when my hour was up, I know I'm gonna be in that cell for a minute, so I need something to read. So I went to one of the homie cell, Getty Bloomfield. I went to his door to get the books to read. And as I'm trying to get the books to read, I hear this bitch motherfucking Gardner talking about, get the fuck away from the door. Like just the way he talked was just, so, and then I can hear him coming off the horseshoe. I can hear his key jingling like he's stopping towards me, like he's gonna manhandle me and remove me from the door. But I can see his reflection in the window on the door. So I tell Ketty, I say, hey, you want the keys? You guys really want the keys? He's like, yeah, we want the keys. I say, all right, where's he at? I said, oh, he's about 5 feet behind you. So I shoved the books back in, closed the trace lock, and when dude came up behind me, I turn around and I backhand him. I swing my backhand him. But he ducked it. And then he tried to swing on me. So when he slipped, when he ducked, my back arm, he slipped it and he threw a right at me. Like he tried to punch me, Hey, he tried to punch me. But when he punched me, I just slipped it grabbed him by his sleeve, pulled him down, and uppercut him. And everything went in slow motion after that. I see his ass fly up. His ass was right by my chest level. His leg was doing the split. And he just, boom, hit the ground and didn't move. And all I hear is everybody banging on the window. Yeah, banging on the window. Grab the keys, grab the keys. And I'm like, damn, I fucked up. You know, in my mind, I'm like, shit, I fucked up. So I'm standing over him. Listen, I ain't never knocked nobody out with one punch before him. And I ain't never knocked nobody out with one punch after him. That's the only time I ever knocked somebody out. And even to this day, I think that fucker was playing possum. You know what I mean? I don't even think I really knocked him out. I just think he was playing possum. But I'm like, damn. So I'm standing over him, looking at him. I'm scratching my head. My thoughts go out like, damn, I fucked up. What the fuck? Why did you, I'm like, why did you make me do that to you, you know? And I could hear the homies banging on the door. Grab the keys, grab the keys, grab the keys. So I'm like, fuck it. In for a penny, in for a pound, right? Some shit like that. So I just grabbed the keys, walked down over there to C-Nut's cell. He's at the end of the tier. And but the keys, it's got a rack of keys on them. So I'm trying to open, trying to see which one fit. And by the time I got one open, I can see in the door where we exit in and out of the unit that the COs are running towards us. Because in Supermax, they have a tower inside the unit. So right when it happened, they already, they already hit the deuces and they coming at me already. They running down the hallway. So we come down the hall. So I finally get the door open and me and him marching down the tier. And he tell me, let me get the key, cuz. And, I reach for the keys, but I don't have it. My dumb ass left the key in the key slot. So C-Nut turns around and goes back and gets the key. But when he went back to go get the key, I'm surrounded by 30 COs already. They're all trying to mace me. I said, hey, stop fucking mace me. And they're like, shh, shh. I said, hey, stop fucking macing me. Shh, shh. Well, here comes C-Nut running up on him. Hey, stop fucking macing my homeboy. Like, oh, all right, I'm a, cause he's an opposing figure. And I'm like, bitch, I've been telling you not to mace me, When I'm telling you not to mace me, they didn't want to hear it. But, as soon as C-Nut come up, tell, hey, stop fucking macing my homeboy. They're all like backing up. All right, I'm a, they're scared. They're terrified of him, right? And me, they just know I'm little, so they know don't matter how tough I think I am or how tough I am or whatever, it's gonna be a lot easier to overpower me than it is a freaking big ass Samoan, right? So C-Nut was like, "What's up, cuz? What you trying to do?" I looked at that survey. I see I see like 30 police surrounding me, and the dude Garner, he's still knocked out, still sleeping on the floor. And I'm like, damn. In my mind, I'm like, I ain't never knocked nobody out before, so I don't know what kind of damage I did. Worst case scenario is like this motherfucker might have hit his head on the concrete and broke his neck or something. I'm just like, man. I said, hold up. I said, let's see if this dude wake up. Right? I say, if he don't wake up, then we just go. We just go hard. But if he wakes up, rack in. Because I'm like, fuck it, I'll take an assault case instead of like a murder case. If I'm gonna catch a murder case, like if I really fuck this dude up, then I might as well just go hard and get in with everybody else and get it in, you know what I mean? So we was in a little standoff. C-Nut was on the side of me. He was keeping all the COs at bay. They got the little baton out. One of the things is like an antenna where it's about this big, but they whip it out and they extend. Hey, those shit hurts, So they whip it out. They got their canisters and mace. They got me and C-Nut surrounded. And we're sitting there waiting. And finally, the CO, Gardner, bitch ass Gardner, he gets up and he stumbles over there to the horseshoe. he doesn't even see the 30, 40 COs that's already in the unit. He goes up there and picks up the phone and calls for backup, you know. You could hear him because everybody, we're just quiet. The unit is quiet, everybody, because we're just in a standoff. And so when I seen him go to the horseshoe to pick up the phone to call whoever he was calling, I told C-Nut to go ahead and lock in. He's like, you sure? You sure? I said, man, just go and lock in. I'll deal with this. So when he locks in, you know, all the COs surrounding me. And I'm in my fighting stance. Like, in my mind, if they're going to beat my ass, I'm going to get a couple more before I go down. And if it's going to be that way, like, you know, I've already got sentenced. I already got convicted in my bank robbery case. So I know I'm already on my way to prison for 20 years already at minimum. 18 to 20 years already. I know this. And the life that I was living, the way that I was, I didn't have any plans of coming back home. You know, this is my career. I can't project myself 5 years into the future, let alone 2 decades. You know, so for me, at that time, 20 years was a life sentence. So I lived it like that. So I'm, you know, I know they're gonna come and get me, so I'm ready. Like whatever it's gonna be, I have my, you know, I go through my little scenario and stuff. All I'm trying to do is get one of them in a chokehold, and the rest of them can beat my ass. But the dude that I get in a chokehold, he's not gonna make it. You know, that was my little game plan, right? But fortunately, they had this Tongan sheriff. He was a sergeant. He was a sergeant. His name was Tonga. He's Tongan, and his last name is Tonga, Sergeant Tonga. You know, he's about 5'8", 400 pounds, 300 pounds at least, 350 at least, you know. But I had like prior incident with him, and I really credit to the way he conducted himself at that time to minimize the situation. Because, you know, I had dealings with him before, and every time I had a situation, and whatever he told me, you know, I could take his word for it. I didn't have to worry about him fucking me over. And he's like, man, hey, Rich, man, I need to cuff up, Rich, cuff up. I was like, look, I'm gonna let you cuff me up. I don't want nobody else touching me. I'll let you cuff me up. You give me your word that no one else is gonna touch me, I'll let you cuff me up. And he gave me his word that no one else was gonna touch me. And I already had prior incidents where I had to deal with him that I didn't have any reason to doubt him. And you know, me, I don't expect people to lie. Like, if you give me your word, I'm gonna take you by it. And if you end up being a fucking piece of shit liar, then, you know, that'll never happen again. But I'm always gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. But Sergeant Tonga already showed me in prior incidents that, you know, he stick to his word. So that's when I turned around, got on my knees, put my hands behind my back, and true to his word, he came and cuffed me up and escorted me to another section. You know, like me and Nut, after that incident, they put a separate tease on us. They would not allow me and him to be in the same, when we got sent to federal prison, because he left first. He went to USP-Florence. And when I got on the bus, I was designated to Florence. But for some reason or whatever, the administration didn't want us to be on the same yard. So the whole time we've been in federal prison, they would never let us be on the same yard. But we kept in touch through the course of our time, through his girl at the time, Angie, then later on through my wife. You know, we kept in communication. Because, you know, when you go through an incident like that with someone, you build a bond. But, you know, we became friends, genuine friends that, you know, every time he came home, I find out about it. I've hit somebody up to get me his number. I get the number, but by the time I call, he's already locked back up. Like, Since the time in the county jail, he's been home 3 times, you know, but he never lasts more than 6 months and caught another case or whatever. But like I say, in the feds, his name ring a bell. Everybody know who C-Nut is. You know, Cubbnut from Parkvillage, Compton, Crip. You know, we were young when we entered the feds, but before he left, he became like, you know, he's like the OG, the big homie from Compton. And this dude, you know, wherever he goes, I hear about it. And when I was in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, getting ready to leave the program, he comes to the program. But, you know, we're all in different blocks. And he just had stabbed a dude in the eye in Hazleton. He stabbed one of his other Crip homie in the eye, took out his eye in Hazleton, got sent to the Smooth program. But when the Johnson case came down, somehow he got released, right? Like, he had a horseshoe up his butt, man. Like, he always, you know, but I'm grateful that he got able to have an opportunity to come home here and there through the course of this last 20-something years. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, when we finally was able to sit out here and have a conversation and kick it, we realized, like, you know, our life was wasted. You know, he spent, I mean, if you count every day that he's ever been in jail, it's close to 30 years, even more. And then when he got to a point in time in his life where he wanted to change, he was taken away from us. And I share this story to emphasize that we really don't know what to expect, what's in our future. You know, if you have issues with your parents, with your siblings, and you don't want to talk to them for however many years, and then next thing you know, there's a car accident or terminal illness, and then you're sitting there like, oh, I wish I would have made it right with these people. Well, it's too late. It's too late. But right now, it don't have to be. You know, if you got somebody that you care about, but because of some dumbass reason, you're not talking to them no more, you're not communicating with them no more, man, grow your ass up. Be the better person. Reach out to them. Because you don't know if they're going to be here tomorrow. I mean, if you don't want that shit on your conscience, reach out to them, man. Now, I haven't been out here for all this stuff. So, like I said, all the other times that I had friends that's been killed, I had loved ones that's passed away for other reasons, I was emotionally removed from it because I wasn't there, I wasn't present. But this time, you know, I was here. But you know, as fucked up as the situation is, I'm grateful that I was able to be here to pay my respect, you know, to really say my goodbyes to him. And, you know, we all like to believe that there's a heaven and an afterlife. I love to believe it. And wherever he's at, homie, I hope you're not suffering anymore. Hope you're good, and we're gonna miss you. Welcome to the USP.